Hello and welcome. Today's exciting episode is a look at my patchwork dresses that I've made in the last year. Well, 13 months. It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket. So I was going to try and make one garment each day for the whole of the month, but I'm exhausted. And I had a couple of my patchwork dresses out and I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? Let's get them all out and let's see what the progression is like, from first to absolute last. And then I ended up filming them in color coordinated order. But this is actually the first one, and I made this in Vlogmas, so December, not the one that just happened, but the one before that, so 13 months ago. And I just had loads of fabric because back then I was making pretty much a dress a day and also some jackets, but a lot of dresses. And yeah, so these are the scraps. There's quite a few different Christmas fabrics in there, holiday prints in there, because it was the first time I'd never really bought holiday prints before, and I went a little bit overboard. I bought maybe 24 different ones, so there's a lot of holly in. I love holly. I think it's so it's basically plants and flowers still. There's a gingerbread one in there, and some of those Scandinavian Nordic prints as well, the red and white ones. There's one with the little fox in there. So I just made the skirt first, just by making all these bits of patchwork. And and the top is from B6677 and those puffy sleeves from the New Look. And then the second one, so I made that, and it just took forever though. And then the next one I made was 2 yards of floral print fabric plus 2 yards of patchwork fabric. And with the 2 yards of fabric, that green one, I just cut it into strips. I think it was 8 strips that were about 4 inches wide, and then one strip that was really thin. You can see that I used it in the top. And I just, the skirt is 2 yards. The top half of the skirt is a 2 yard strip. So it's 2 yards, then 2 lots of patchwork sewn to it, then 2 yards of plain fabric, and on and on. The skirt isn't as full as the beige one, like the first one I did. It just took so much less time to make. Like the first one I did, the beige one, oh my goodness, I just felt like I was working on it all the time. Obviously I had to stop and keep doing other dresses, but it just took so long to make. Whereas the other one with the 2 different, now I'm getting out 3 green ones, but I'm still going to have this one green one up. So it's now on the left. Yeah, this one with 2 yards of patchwork fabric and 2 yards of actual fabric, it was so much quicker than making the whole thing patchwork. So if you're on the fence about making a patchwork dress because it's just so much work, I would definitely recommend going half-half, because you still have the fun of wearing a patchwork dress, but it takes literally half the time. So that was really good for me. I probably would have stopped making them if that one hadn't turned out, because I love patchwork dresses, obviously, but they take so much time. And this middle one, it's more of a vintage cut. And this was in the middle of the year. I was like, okay, I have to use up more patches. So I made the pink and green one first, and then I still had loads of green left over. So I made this green one. And the bodice is, well, if you see the 3 green ones together, you can see that it's just leftover patches. And it's got little zebras and giraffes in it, the brightly coloured one. And there's also a plain green, as well as I had loads of that green with the little rust coloured flowers in there. And this one, I wasn't sure, it's not technically a patchwork dress, but because the bodice is in 3 bits as well, so with the green one with 3 different types of fabric in it, I bought 2 yards of the check, which is a seersucker fabric. There was 2 yards of the green with the rust flowers in it, and there's 2 yards of the green with the big white, or they're actually pale blue flowers in it. And again, I just cut it into strips. I think I cut it into 6 or 8 strips, and I made a 2-yard loop for the top of the skirt and then a 4-yard loop for the bottom of the skirt. And I think there's actually 3 layers, so it might be, and then an 8-yard loop for the bottom of the very bottom of the skirt. It's quite long, that one. It's a maxi, so it's 6 yards of fabric, sort of all cut into 2-yard long strips, and then you just make the skirt. And then with the little leftover bits that you cut to straighten up all the fabric before you cut it into strips, then you just use the little leftovers to make the bodice. So the bodice is patchwork. And then, so I moved the green ones aside to show you my pink and green one. So this is one of my absolute favorite dresses that I've made. So the green one on the left has 3 layers and the pink one has 4 layers. So I made the pink and green one first, as I said, and it's got 4 layers, and that just took so long. Oh my goodness, it took so long. And then, so as you can see, it's sort of 1 pink, 1 green, 1 pink, 1 green. And if I had my time over, I would do like the light ones at the top and then the lighter ones at the bottom and the darker ones at the top and make it graded. But I don't know, I quite like it the way everything is mixed, and it's just, green, pink, regardless of whether it's bright green or bright pink. And the top, I just had this half yard of quilting cotton that's got lotus flowers on it, but it looks like water lilies. So I actually made 2 bodices. One's a short one and one's a medium length. So I've still got the other bodice. And I've got some green fat quarters, so I might use them all together. But I made the pink and green one first and then the green one. And I love those 2 dresses so much. They're Tuesday, Thursday dresses, by which I mean they're quite similar. But if I wear one on a Tuesday, then I feel like I have to wear the other one on a Thursday, just because they're both awesome. And to me, they're very different. But to me, they're just linked. I have a few jackets that are the same. They're Tuesday, Thursday jackets. So like, if you wear one on a Tuesday, I just know that I'm going to have to wear the other one on the Thursday, because I love them both. And I feel like it would be unfair to one to wear it more than the other one, if you get what I mean, because they're just kind of twinsies. Anyway, so now we have 3 purple ones. The left and the right one, I'm not sure that they're patchwork ones, but I just thought I'd throw in an Empire. Like on the right, you've got the Empire Line Simplicity dress. Then on the left, it's actually a shirt, but then I added a few layers. Like it was just a 2-yard loops of fabric, and I made them into a dress. So I made it into a dress. I was actually going to make it into a long maxi one, but because it's got long sleeves, I just felt it was better to make it into a shorter dress. And this one, I just had loads of, like, a yard of this fabric, 2 yards of that fabric, and sort of used them all up. The fabric that I used on the top of the Empire Line dress, that used to be a shirt, but the pattern matching was just really weird. So I pulled it apart and turned it into the top of cut it up and made it into the top of the Empire Line dress, and it's so much nicer. And the middle one is the episode that I did on how to make a layer cake dress. So this is technically a layer cake dress. What that means is you use, you get 6 different fabrics, you cut them all up, and then you turn that into a dress. So whereas with a patchwork dress, in my definition of patchwork, it's using up scraps of other fabrics, leftover fabrics, whereas this one, I had these fabrics and I was like, okay, I'm going to cut them all up and use them all in the same dress. I mean, I used some of the mauve coloured one in the dress next to it. You can see that. But yeah, so And I love that one. It's such a maxi dress, and the skirt is so completely full in that one. And I kind of that dress took forever. It took basically as long as a patchwork dress, because you just machine sewing all these thin layers together. But yeah, it's totally worth it. And I love there's some really pretty florals in there, and this fabric that looks like graffiti. And yeah, it's just the weirdest mix, and some loud, bright florals. And then I used the leftover bits, lots of different leftover bits together in the bodice, which is the actual patchwork element. It's the only shirt dress I've made so far. I need to make another one. I think I need to make a green one, because green's my favourite colour, so I'll like it if it's green. Okay, so next we have the sunshine. So the one on the left is my Halloween dress, and the one in the middle I made just in December. So they haven't really had outings yet, because I've been making one thing a day. So people are like, so when do you wear them? Well, recently I've kind of been working all the time, sort of juggling all my sewing and editing with other things that I have to do. So I have been very busy the last 2 months, which is supposed to be the whole holiday period. But yeah, the one on the left is Halloween. So I wanted to make it all patchwork, but then I was really busy, so I ended up putting in half Halloween fabric and half patchwork. So that, again, it's really good. If you don't have enough time to do a whole patchwork one, I highly recommend that. Or this one is fat quarters. So in the quilting section of a large fabric store, they have something called pre-cuts. And it's just square of fabric. So basically they cut 1 yard of fabric, then they cut it into 4 quarters, hence the fat quarters. And yeah, so that's where that one came from. And it's not very many fat quarters. There's 4 in the top bit, and there's 8 in the bottom part of the skirt. And then I used 1 for the front bodice and 1 for the back bodice. So it's 14 fat quarters, which is pretty good. I think the other ones I made have 14 fat quarters plus 2 yards of fabric. So this teal one here, again, it's kind of the same thing, but with more fabric. You can see that the teal fabric with lemons on it, there's 2 yards of that fabric plus all the fat quarters. And here, instead of using the fat quarters just as a big fat quarter, I cut them in half lengthways and sewed them back together like in a big long loop. So yeah, that's why it looks like it's got more different types of fabrics in there. And then the Cinderella blue, the dress on the right, I just had loads of periwinkle blue fabrics. It's all different fabrics. I'll go close up in a sec. Here we go. So you can see there's so many, like the top is, again, I cut the bodice out of 1 fat quarter for the front, 1 fat quarter for the back. And then there's just all these different sorts of fabrics. Some of them are plain blue, but there's also a lot of different prints. And then this is the teal one. It just had some really beautiful, I used my favorite ones for higher up on the skirt. So this is my favorite fat quarter from that one. So you just got like 1 of each different type. So that's why there's so many different prints in there. And this is the same. This was all the rose and coral colored ones. And I had almost 2 yards of that coral colored fabric. So I mixed them together. And yeah, it's a really good way if you want something patchwork, but you don't want to spend like forever making it, then buying some pre-cuts. I just wait until they're on sale and buy any ones that look interesting. That's why they don't completely match. It's sort of, some of them clash rather than match. And with the coral and dusty rose colored one, you'll see that the bottom layer is scarlet, sort of wine colored or dark red, because it's just like, I didn't buy the expensive ones where you can choose each color. I just bought the stacks of, this is leftover, so it's half price or, even cheaper than that. So I just sort of use it as a challenge, and I'm like, right, these are going to be a dress. I don't know how, but they're going to mix and match. And then we have some bright ones. So this color block one, it's yellow on the top, then red roses, and then different oranges, and then there's a little layer of blue at the bottom. Yeah, I just wanted to do a color block dress. I usually wear that one with a green sash on it because it looks gorgeous. And then the one on the left is that coral and dusty pink one. And here's a close-up of the different colours. I probably should have ironed it before I took this, but I was just, I didn't really have the biggest amount of time, and I thought, oh, you have to see them anyway because they're so pretty. I think I originally wanted 2 yards of the blue or something, but they only had a yard in the remnant section, and then the orange is pre-cuts and fat quarters, and then the red rose coloured bit. Oh, in the blue you can see there's big cats and jungle leaves. And then the rose was just a yard of, I'd originally bought like 10 yards of that fabric, and I made a couple of dresses, and that was the very last of the fabric. So I used it for the top tier of this skirt. And yeah, I really like that one. I wasn't sure if I was going to like the colour blocking because, as you can see, normally I do dresses in one whole color. You know, this one is going to be green themed, this one's going to be beige themed, this one's going to be sunshine yellow themed. So yeah. And the last one, well, it wasn't last, it was I think it's the only one that I made out of vintage. So the skirt is gored, so instead of just doing big loops of fabric and just pleating them down onto it like different tiers, 2 or 3 different tiers or 4 tiers in the skirt, this one is like triangles or trapeziums of fabric. All the panels of the skirt are sewn together, so you get that sort of really cool line where there's arrows at the edge of each panel. And I think there's 6 panels in that skirt or something. It took, oh my gosh, it took so long to make. You cannot believe. And I love it, but I didn't like the top so much. I like it when the lines on the top, on the bodice, are horizontal rather than vertical. I like it when the back is vertical, because that way when I look in my wardrobe it's really easy to see, well, the front is horizontal and the back is vertical, because the Butterick 6677, the front and the back look very similar. So I do like that, but yeah, if I had my time again, I would do the bodice the other way around. I would do it, I mean, because the skirt is vertical, I just assumed, well, I better do the bodice vertical too. After I'd done it, like, I really didn't like it. But then I did some hand stitching on it and I like it more now. So, yeah. There you go. That's all my patchwork dresses. I did make a reversible patchwork jacket, but it's so small, like it didn't really use up much fabric at all. Just 2 yards of fabric, I suppose, like a yard for the inside and a yard for the outside. And I used the Berta 6123 for that. And yeah, I mean, I guess I could have got that out, but yeah. So I plan on making a lot more patchwork dresses because I still have so many patchwork, like scraps of fabric left to go. I meant to get out my strawberry jacket, the floral jacket that's got strawberries hanging on it, and try it on each of these 3 dresses, but I clearly forgot to do that. Oh, next video. So that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm just going to do a quick recap of all the ones that we've seen because this is my favorite part. I'm like, as soon as I get one out, I'm like, oh no, I want to see the one that I've just seen. So that's the OG, the original patchwork dress, and then the second one was half and half plain fabric, well, floral fabric, and half scraps put together to make patchwork. And then we've got the green ones. Oh, I really do love green dresses. And then we've got the 2 well, they're sort of strips of fabric rather than patchworks per se. And then we've got the purple ones. I really do need to make another shirt dress. And then the sunshine ones, oh, they're adorable. The Halloween one and the one I just made in December. Honestly, that feels like such a long time ago. And then we've got the teal one and the dusty pink rose one, the colour block one, and the vintage dress. That skirt of that vintage one just took so long to do. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing all my pretty colourful patchwork dresses, and I hope you've been inspired to use up all your leftovers and scraps and turn them into a magical dress. It does take forever, but then you have the dress forever, so I don't know. I feel like it's worth it. I think the next patchwork dress I'm going to make is going to be green fat quarters and some other green fabric. Because, yeah, every second piece of fabric I buy, I feel like it's green. Anyway, thanks again for watching and happy sewing or happy patchworking.